Good day, class. Today we'll be dealing with application of sequences. This involves our previous lessons and arithmetic and geometric series. Okay, so those two formula above about arithmetic sequence and geometric sequence are our previous lessons. And we need to study more about arithmetic series and geometric series so that we can apply all those learnings in today's discussion. Okay, so we'll be focusing first on arithmetic series. But before we move further, kwentuhan muna tayo. I will share to you a story, a famous story about a famous mathematician and also a physicist, which is Carl Friedrich Gauss. Okay, nung kabataan niya, nung elementary days niya when he was 8 years old, yung teacher niya, para daw maging busy yung klase niya, is nagbigay siya ng isang question which is i-add yung numbers 1 to 100. So inaakala ni teacher na mahiging busy yung mga bata. But nagulat siya noong wala pang 1 minuto, in just 4 seconds of time, nasagot na ni Carl yung kanyang tanong. Paano kaya nagawa ni Carl yun? Imagine 8 years old. Okay, so kung gustong matutunan kung paano masagot ng mabilis yung sum ng 1 to 100, makinig kayo sa discussion na to. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so we'll be dealing first with arithmetic series. Arithmetic series is simply the sum of arithmetic sequence, meaning i-add lang natin ang given arithmetic sequence. And you will notice here, meron tayong dalawang formula. The first one is S sub n is equals to n over 2 times the quantity of a sub 1 plus a sub n, or yung sum ng first and the last term. So we will be using this formula, this short formula of arithmetic series when the last term is given. Okay, kung meron daw last term sa given, pwede natin gamitin itong first formula. While the second formula, which is S sub n is equals to n over 2 times the quantity of 2 times a sub 1 plus the quantity of n minus 1 times d, o yung medyo mahaba, we'll be using this formula when the last term is not given. Okay, so let's continue. Let's go back with the problem a while ago. Okay, what is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 100? Or meaning to say, ano ang sum ng 1 to 100? Okay, so sabi nga kanina sa kwento, nasagutan lang daw ito ni Carl into seconds of time, meaning hindi pa umabot ng minuto. So, paano ba niya ginawa yon? Okay, so let's start. So, you will see here, it involves the first term and the last term. Sabi kanina dun sa dalawang formula, if there is a last term, we can use the first formula, which is the shorter one. So, we will be using here the first formula. Okay, so S sub n is equals to n over 2 times the quantity of the sum of the first and the last term. Okay, so ganun lang kasimple. First thing to do is to identify the values that we'll be needing in to solve this problem. So they are a sub 1, which is 1, a sub n, which is the last term, that is 100. And we're about to add 100 numbers, 1 to 100, meaning 100 ang involved na terms that we're going to add. So, the value of n will be 100. Let's continue. Let's substitute the values. So, n from the formula, those 2n, simply becomes 100 kasi yun ang value niya. So this will become 100, and this one will also be 100. A sub 1 in the formula is 1. Then last term becomes 100. As simple as that. So if we divide 100 divided by 2, that is 50. If we add 1 and 100, that is 101. Last thing to do is to multiply them. 50 times 101, it gives us 5,050. As simple as that. Given si first term, given si last term of an arithmetic sequence, ito yung shortest way. Okay? So, madali lang naman. Kaya talaga nating malaman ang sum ng numbers 1 to 100 if we know the formula. Okay. How about if the last term is not involved, just like in this problem or in this situation? Suppose the auditorium of the Tagaytay International Convention Center or TICC has 20 seats in the first row, and that each row has 2 more seats than the previous row. Meaning, from the first row, which is 20, yung mga susunod na row, nadadagdagan ng 2. Condition is, if there are 20 rows in the auditorium o sa loob ng TICC ay may 30 rows, how many are the total number of seats? Okay, so let's try to visualize this situation. Let's continue. First thing to do in solving let's say a problem, first thing to do is, the first step is to see what kind of sequence is involved in the problem. Let's analyze the problem. We have the first term, which is 20. Then, yung mga susunod na row, nadadagdagan daw ng 2. So, meaning, the second row will be 22, third row will be 24, fourth row is 26, until we reach the 30th row. You will see here, in the given arithmetic sequence, we have no last term. We didn't know how many seats are there in the 30th row. So in this case, this involves arithmetic sequence. Let's try. We will identify first We will identify first what kind of sequence is involved. So we can say that it is an arithmetic sequence. Okay. And we need to add those seats from the first row up to the 30th row. Meaning, sabi nga sa definition ng arithmetic series, it is the sum of arithmetic sequence. So, meaning, if we're going to add the arithmetic sequence, it also involves arithmetic series. Okay, so now that we know what kind of sequence is involved, let's have a plan. What is the appropriate formula to be used and the needed values? So since we are going to add those terms in an arithmetic sequence, we'll be using the arithmetic series formula, and the needed values are a sub 1, common difference, and the number of terms. Okay, so looking back at the sequence, we have the first term as 20. So to get the common difference, we need to subtract the second term by the first term. So 22 minus 20, that is 2. So the common difference is 2. And the number of terms involved is up to 30th row. So meaning, 30 ang value ni n. Okay, so now that we have those three, a sub 1, common difference, and n, which is the number of terms, let's do the last step, which is do. We will perform the indicated operation and we will simplify. Okay, so all the red parts in this formula, we will be substituting their values. So we have here 20, 2, and 30. Okay, so the next thing here is to substitute the values. So n becomes 30, and a sub 1 becomes 20, and the value of n here, that's 30 already. And the last one is the value of d, which is 2. So all the red parts in the formula, we already have substituted the needed values. Let's try to simplify. So you will see here in the second equation, we already divide 30 divided by 2, that is 15. 20 times 2 is 40. 30 minus 1 is 29. You'll just have to bring down 2. Okay, next thing to do is to multiply. 29 times 2, that gives us 58. Bring down 40, baba lang si 15. Next thing to do is to add this 40 and 58, and that is 98. And last thing to do is to multiply that with 15. So we will have 1,470 seats. So all in all, if we're going to add the numbers of seats from the first row up to the 30th row in that auditorium, that will be equal to 1,470 seats. Okay, let's continue. Let's move on with geometric series. The meaning of geometric series is to simply add geometric sequence. So, i-add pa rin natin, but the involved sequence is a geometric sequence. Okay, so we have also two formulas here. So, the first one, S sub n is equals to A sub 1 times the quantity of 1 minus R raised to n all over 1 minus R. So, we will be using this formula when the given sequence is a finite geometric sequence. Meaning, meron siyang last term. Okay? While the other one, this is S sub to infinity, is equals to A sub 1 all over 1 minus R. So, this formula, we'll be using this formula only if the given is an infinite geometric sequence. Okay. So, we will not be discussing more on the second formula kasi meron siyang restriction. We can only add infinite sequence if and only if the value of R is greater than negative 1 but less than positive 1. So may restriction kung ano lang yung may add nating infinite geometric sequence. So hindi lahat ng infinite geometric sequence pwede nating ma-add. Okay? So we'll be focusing here on the first formula. Okay, let's have this example. Find the sum of the sequence 2, 6, 18, 54 up to A sub 6. First step, just like what we did earlier, is to see what kind of sequence is involved in the problem. So we have 2, 6, 18, 54 up to the 6th term of the sequence. So by analyzing this sequence, we all know that we have a common ratio which is 3. So we get the succeeding terms by multiplying it by 3. So we can say that this sequence is a geometric sequence. The problem says that we have to get the sum from the first term up to the 6th term. So meaning we will add this geometric sequence, and we can say that it also involves geometric series. Okay, next step is to plan what is the appropriate formula to be used and the needed values. Okay, so we'll be using the geometric series formula, and the needed values are A sub 1, R, and N. So A sub 1 here is 2. Common ratio, divide natin si 6 and 2, that gives us 3. And the number of terms, since we are to add up to the 6th term, meaning the value of n is 6. Okay, let's continue. The last step is do. Perform the indicated operation and simplify. Write first the formula, substitute the values. So n becomes 6, a sub 1 becomes 2, fix is 1, it is included in the formula, r is 3, and n is equals to 6. All over 1, which is fixed, minus value of r, which is 3. Okay, so first thing to solve is the exponential form, 3 raised to 6. 6 times, you will multiply 3 to itself, and that will be equal to 729. Okay, then the rest, just bring it down. 1, 2, and subtract the denominator. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Let's continue. Subtract 1 minus 729, that will be negative 728. Bring down 2, copy negative 2 in the denominator. The next thing to do is to multiply the numerator. 2 times negative 728, that will be negative 1,456. Then divide it by negative 2, that gives us positive 728. Okay, that will be all for today. Always remember that math is fun. Goodbye and take care always.